Hello, my name's Paul Simmons from Matakki. I'm going to show you a 70s inspired curly haircut. We're going to take a little bit off through the length, give it a really good boxed club cut layer. We're not going to use any clips, or it's going to be really simple 12 section, one length club cut. So we're just going to start off at the front. We've got really used to using clips at the moment, but I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to move it over to the one side there. And I'm just going to take it nice and easy. I'm working 10 sections back towards the crown in small 1 centimetre sections. So I'm going to take off about 2 centimetres from the top. Really nice and steady, small sections. I'm using the Matakki Beast scissor. I'm using a 7-inch, which is probably something that most people wouldn't use for layering long hair like this. It's normally a scissor, a 7-inch blade is normally what we use for scissor over comb. But I've got so used to it in the salon every day, and it's incredibly sharp. So that's what I'm going to be working with. And I'm just approaching the crown now. I'm just keeping the sections really small. I can see through this section, I can see the previous section that I've done before, so I'm using that as my guide. So that's the section 1 that runs straight through the centre there. The next section, I'm going to use this section as a guide as well. So I'm going to pick that up again. I'm boxing it so that it's completely horizontal. And I'm working through. So this is section 2. And all I'm doing is I'm just working through in small sections right up till I get to the crown again. And then when I get to the crown, what I'm going to do on this one is I'm going to move, instead of continuing it down on this side, I'm going to move over to the left hand side. So it's the same scenario again. We've got section 1, section 2, and we're now moving into section 3. I'm just taking small sections. The hair's quite damp, so it's a little bit easy to manage. I'm using a horizontal section to keep it nice and square. And I'm just working my way through in really small sections so that it's completely see-through, and I can see this section previously that I've used as a guide. And I'm just going to work that through to the crown again. Okay, so let's recap again. We've got section 1 that runs straight through the centre. We've got section 2 and we've got section 3. So that's that part of the haircut there. We're on to section 4, back over to this side again. Whatever we do to this side, we're going to continue that through and copy it onto this side. So we're keeping it 45 degrees off the scalp. We're taking a little bit of the box corner off, just to give it a bit more smoothness when we're keeping it curly. We're using some kind of Mark Bolan and the 70s rock vibe to give us a bit of inspiration. And we're working our way through on this 4th section until we get to the centre part at the back. We're going to work it right the way around until we get to the centre. And then as soon as we get to the centre, keeping all the sections nice and clean, we're then going to get to the centre and stop. And we're going to do exactly the same on this side. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 on section 5. We're going to do exactly the same, keeping ourselves nice and clean. 45 degrees angle from the scalp. and nice and steady until we get to the back. I was just talking to one of our colleagues, and we were talking about using scissors, and there's an amazing array of scissors on the market at the moment. And we were talking about what sets Matakki as a scissor company apart from the others. And I was saying earlier that there are lots of scissor companies that are really amazing scissors, but there's no company on the market that gives you complete customer backup, whether it's sharpening or health advice with your wrists and your back. Okay, so, excuse me, breathing. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're now on to the 6th and the 7th section. I'm going to take this one through, keeping it fairly vertical and parallel to the head. We're trying to keep as much length in Joe's hair as we can. And we take it all the way through. Again, like we did earlier, we're coming through to what I call the sort of the DA section. We're working right through to the centre, in the middle of the back. And then as soon as we get to the centre, we are going to stop. One of the things that we won't do and that we shouldn't do, once we get to the centre, we stop, and we won't continue those sections all the way around and follow it through. Whatever we do to the left side, we do to the right. So that's onto our 7th section. Keeping it fairly vertical. One thing I do see quite a lot, everyone's got their own different way of cutting hair, is that I see lots of people doing what's called palm to palm technique, which is a great technique. But if you, at Matakki, we spend a lot of time thinking about the way we position our arms and being comfortable and trying to avoid wrist pain and back pain. So for me, palm to palm always ends up being a little bit sort of wristy, so I'll try and avoid that one. But every technique, if it works for you, it works for you. We've got a little bit more curl starting to kick into Joe's hair now. It was quite straight without a little trim. So we're going to work on this section into the back again. I'd like to thank Wall and the BBA for inviting us to show at the show, and I hope you're really enjoying the entertainment and learning lots of new things. So there we are again, straight back into the centre again. And then we'll do that on this one side to continue it again like we did earlier. And then we've worked our way back towards the back again. Okay, so let's just recap again quickly what we've done with our sections. We've got section 1, section 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. And we've worked that through just to the centre of the back there. Now we're going to start layering the back. We're going to use triangular sections. It's very tempting to try to clip everything up and move sections out of the way. I find with curly hair, I want to get the whole feel for the way it's curling and the way the layers are starting to fall. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to gently move that out of the way there. And I'm just going to start working in a triangular section, which is there, section number 8. "90 degrees from the scalp again, working up towards the crown. And then we start to get into the territory that we've already cut. And we know it's time to stop there. Then we're going to move on to section 9, which is from behind the ear to the crown. We're picking up this section, moving some of this hair out of the way, but what we're doing is we're using this as a guide, and we're also working our way parallel to the head and towards the back of the neck. That little tip of hair there, right on the tip, is what I'm using as the guide for my next section. And then when I pick this up, I can actually see through the hair, I can see the sections that I've already got there from the previous section. And as we get to the centre, we stop again. Let's get that little bit again. Then this is section 10, which again comes from the corner of the shoulder up into the centre there. About a 1 centimetre section, 90 degrees off the scalp. What we're trying to do is to create some nice even layers that are all the same length and all the same sort of weight, so that we can create an equal curl all the way through. We're going to take this one again, move some of that out of the way there. You can see our little guide from the tip. Even though if you notice I'm using quite big scissors, I take really small sections and really small snips. And we just work our way to the centre until we actually run out of hair that we've actually done. So that's our last section. I'll run through it again because it's really easy to forget which sections that you're on when you're doing haircuts like this. We did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We did the diagonal, 8, 9, 10, 11, and this is the connecting section at the back. When I pick this one up, what you're going to find is, when I pick this section, it should be a point, and that's the connecting section between all of the hair that binds it all together. And as you can see, there's just a little peak in the middle there, and all we're going to do is just take that off. Oops. And that's our final section done. Okay, so all of our sections are complete for the layers. We're starting to get some really nice curl formation. And what we're going to do is we're going to work our way all the way around and put a baseline there to finish the haircut off. Keep it evenly damp all the way through. Stay as close to the front of your client as you possibly can. Give it a nice gentle calm down, moving most of it out of the way there. Choose your length, keeping it parallel with the eyebrows and level, and just try not to take too big sections that you won't be able to see. As you can see, they're all quite small, and just work your way through. The next few sections have got to come round diagonal towards the face. And then just work our way through on this section. Just because you use 7-inch scissors doesn't mean that every section has to be a big brutal chop. You can be really defined and use the tips of your scissors and work your way through in a really controlled way with a 7-inch blade. I use a mixture of a 5.5-inch icon blade, and I also use the 7-inch Ninja, and I also use the Beast. So they're all brilliant in their own right. It's very difficult to choose one by technical merit. It's kind of, you pick your scissor up and you kind of feel how it feels for you. At Matakki, one of the things that they're really proud of is that they will, through telephone conversation or through meetings at shows, will help you to use and help you to choose the best blade and the handle that's right for you. So one of the directors at Matakki is completely medically trained and knowledgeable on skin, hair, bones, and she will completely have a look at you and tell you the best way to hold and to use your scissor. So, and she'll help you with your choice of scissor by doing that. We're working this through now to the bottom of the hair. We're bringing the sections down. We don't need to move any of this or clip any of it up because none of it's all layered all the same. So we don't need to clip it up out of the way. But one of the things with one of these sort of 70s inspired haircuts is that you have to, whatever you do to the one side, you have to do to the other side. If you start working on one section and you work all the way around, quite often if you're not too experienced, what you'll find is you've cut one side and then the other side you've gone through and you've taken it all shorter than the first side that you've cut, or you've left it a little bit longer and you have to go through again and remove some hair. So by moving from one side directly to the other side, you keep your sort of your memory there, and you'll find that your balance of cutting the hair is a little bit easier to do. And we're just working our way through, keeping the section broad and square, trying to keep a wide masculine neckline to the hair. If we start to take it in, sometimes it can be a little bit feminine, but with men's hair we want to keep it as masculine as we possibly can. And then all we'll do is just work along the bottom bit there. We're going to cut the bottom bit slightly, and I mean very slightly concaved, because we want to push a little bit more towards the corners there. So we just start in the centre, and as we're keeping it parallel to the neck, horizontal section, and then all we do is we'll just start to sort of arch our way out a little bit until we come to where we've got no hair there and we've run out of hair on each section. Okay, so that's our cut complete. We've used box square sections. We've taken the corners slightly. We've kept the sides of the hair cut parallel to the head. We've used the back. We've used it parallel to the head in the centre, but we've used our fingers to give us a little bit of a little bit of a lengthening towards the bottom. And then what we've done is we've cut it evenly through. It's a 12 section, one length club cut. So now we'll move to the dry. I'm just going to put a little bit of mousse through, which is definitely a 70s vibe. We're going to put it through with our fingertips nice and evenly. Not too much at the back, more through the top. All we're trying to do is coat all of the hair to give it a nice even feel. It's more about protecting the hair and giving ourselves a little bit of protection and a tiny little bit of hold. What we don't want to do with curly hair is to fix it into place. And then we're going to use the Matakki Supernova hairdryer with a diffuser. We're going to use low power, low heat, and be really gentle. Just let the hair fall into there. Don't try to mix it too much. And we'll continue just drying this nice and slowly, taking our time. It's well worth a little bit of patience when you use the diffuser. Work our way very gently all the way through. Just lift the hair slightly, let it fall onto the fingers of the diffuser, and let the diffuser do its work without you trying to do too much to it. If you want to create lots of volume, you can use circular motions with the diffuser, which gives you that little bit of extra volume and a little bit of extra texture. But all we're trying to do is, we want it to look so it's been dried, but not dried. We want it to be leaving it natural and giving it a really nice curly look to it. If you use the hairdryer with full heat, what you'll find is your customers slowly moving away from you because it starts to get a little bit warm. So being gentle and being patient is the key. So we just worked our way through really gently and slowly, just building up the curl. Let it sort of, almost like a souffle, let it rise on its own. We don't want it to look overworked or over-processed, or we don't want it to look like we spent 2 hours drying his hair or blow drying his hair. We're going to use a tiny amount of Simmons Barbershop's oil. Just literally just 2 drops. Push it into the palm of our hands so it's completely into our fingers and the palms of our hands. And all we're doing is we're just going to be putting a little bit through and just giving it that little bit of luxury gloss feel to it. We're trying to keep it nice and so as we get even curl structure all the way through. We're just literally just working our way, just choosing our sections, making sure that it's all nice and even and square all the way through. And then what we'll do, we'll take a tiny bit amount of hairspray just to give it a bit of a pat down. The nice thing about this is that Joe can wash his hair and leave it at home, and what's going to happen to it is it's going to evenly curl because we've used a 12 section 1 length club cut. So when he's at home, probably the less he does to it, the better he's going to get out of it really. And that's us finished. I'd like to thank Joe, my son, for modelling for us and for tidying his bedroom. Thank you, mate. We don't have many arguments about tidy bedrooms, do we, Joe? But so let's just take you through there. We've used 12 sections all the way through. We've used a square club cut, which we've just taken the corners off to just give it a bit more round. We've been inspired by T-Rex, 1970s glam rock, and hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.